And we're off. All right. Good morning, class. I am in Miami doing a photo gig. And it's funny that the presentation is on idealization because with the help of the teacher, David, thank you, sir, we made this situation ideal. Although I'm not particularly good with technology, as you can see, the presentation is not the most technologically advanced one, but we'll make it work. We'll make it work. So, idealization. Let's just say if you buy something and it is yours, you want to see the good in it and not the bad. So ideally, making the bad into a positive and a positive into something ideal. Further, glorifying it as the best and hence believing that your choice was a wise one. So that being said, this is the case with us artists. We idealize things, much like everybody else does, but this is something that we created with our own hands. This is something that we made. So we tend to idealize it double, not only in the way that we speak of it, but also in the sense that we might change things a little bit or exaggerate them to make them perfect, in a sense, to make it ideal. So I like the analogy of a magnifying glass, right? I like my lips because they're big, so that makes my mouth beautiful and that makes me beautiful, right? So that's idealizing part of my body. The magnifying glass shows me the big lips, but then it also shows me my fat nose, which, in reality is not that bad, but if you look at it there, yeah, it's quite the wide nose, and it doesn't even fit with the rest of my face. So that is just something that I omit, and I don't really see the bad as much. I almost don't want to believe it, but just emphasize on the lips. So yeah, that's idealizing in a nutshell. Now, it was a very interesting example with Brad Pitt, and I think it was Angelina Jolie and some other ones, some other actors there that we saw on last week's presentation. So I thought I'd give it a shot to see how symmetrical my face was, and I thought it was pretty damn symmetrical. And it turns out once I did it, this is actually my right side. You know what? Originally, when I first saw it, it blew my mind that it's like a different person. Like, it's not the face that I see usually. Now, actually, this I did yesterday, and now looking at it again, and from a distance, and being filmed from a laptop directly, it doesn't look that different at all. Actually, it's quite the same. What is that? Pardon. Oh, the battery. Okay, hopefully the presentation won't take longer than the battery can handle. So bear with me. So yeah, this is the right side of the face. This is the two lefts, very different from each other. And again, here so you can actually see the comparison. Now I think that's mainly due to the angle being slightly skewed, but I'm not sure. In all truth is that I am not symmetrical, and that's, I guess, not an ideal face because beauty in the face is supposed to be based off of symmetry. And anyway, so that's that experiment then on my own face. I also tried that other experiment on that other website where you put the points and it tells you whether you have a wide nose and all that, but apparently there was malware and I didn't want to go and get a virus on my computer, so I couldn't do that. So I want to talk to you about my mountain painting that I did. It's a very iconic mountain in Caracas, Venezuela, which is where I was born. And there's three things I want to talk about. First one, the clouds are all different as they usually show up with different weathers. So you can't have different weathers all in one picture, but I did because I thought it would look pretty, and I think it does. So that's one point there that I wanted to talk about. You can see it there on this one. And then there's this other point here that, do you notice anything wrong with the clouds? I mean, not the clouds, the shadows. The shadows on the trees on the left are correct according to the sunset, and so is the tree in the middle. The trees on the right, although the shadow isn't right per se because the sun doesn't work that way, it fills the space quite nicely, you know, and it adds that little triangle space. It adds a little bit of repetition, emphasizing on the trees. So I added that. Some people can see it as a mistake. I see it as idealizing, my painting. Now here's a tableau vivant that we did in class. This is the setup that I did, me and my team members. And on the left, you see what I painted. Now you can see on the table that a lot of things I omitted. I even moved around. The perspective is even a little different because those are things that I idealized as per what would look the best in that painting. But most specifically, what I wanted to talk about is the castle. Now here, let me just adjust the exposure on my camera here for a second. Boom, now you can see it better. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. This part here, this looks like a house, and ideally a castle doesn't look like a house, it looks like a castle. So it's got all these towers, right? So I just added more towers and I made it more castle-y. Now, of course, bear with me, it's not the most beautiful painting you've ever seen by no means that I did here, but then again, for 2 hours of work, I think it's pretty good. And another tableau vivant, the hippies. The way that the lighting works, you can see it in the mouse here, comes from the left and it moves to the right. You can see that in the wall, you can see that on his face, even on the glasses, the shadows that are working behind his arm, the way that the light hits the flower over here, even the little Statue of Liberty here has the same lighting. It's all very correct, and the colors all work well with each other, right? There's a lot of ideals in this picture that just makes them work well together. And of course, that was just actually a pretty direct example onto what idealization is. I just idealized the explanation of my painting there, and not so much what I actually did, but afterwards the way I see it and the way that I actually don't even talk about or even see the mistakes that were made in the picture, right? The imperfections, let's say. So yeah, that is idealization for you guys when it comes to painting and art in general. And of course, this is my third presentation on myself, so it was of course about myself, Carlos, which you guys already know. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope maybe it gives you guys some food for thought, and you can have a small discussion onto whether or not you agree in my idealization explanation. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on Monday, most of you. A lot of you I have on my Wednesday afternoon class as well. So I'll see you then.